on, I'm a god in the making.
I'm Nick Terzo, and you are listening to The Radical. My guest this week has racked up well over 700 million streams with his impactful, genre-shifting music. Incredibly, at a very young age, he has managed to write, perform, and produce 16 albums. His subject matter covers many intense experiences, including feelings of isolation and alienation. He displays effortless and brilliant transitions stylistically between rap, EDM, and emo. He also guards his identity and personal life in a big way. And for this reason, I am extremely grateful to welcome artist Josh A., who joins me to discuss his creative process, the pains of touring, his efforts to fight being commoditized as an artist, and independently building a very influential career with a huge fan base. Coming up, my conversation with Josh A. Hi, Josh. Thank you for doing this today.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
I'm really excited to speak to you. Your music has been compelling to me, so I definitely wanted to have this conversation with you.
I appreciate it.
You are very proficient. You definitely make and release music, which is just awesome. Your newest album is called Lonely Vibes, yes?
Mm-hmm.
And it's doing well. I mean, it's really it's a nice departure for you. I mean, it's incredibly well done. And I'm curious to get into the material and kind of what led you down kind of this direction.
Yep.
And then you just released a new single, right, called No Mercy.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And that's back kind of more into your rap direction, yes?
Yeah, it's definitely going back to the hard stuff that I'm typically known for, yeah.
Pretty incredible. I mean, I looked on YouTube and it looked like you had 400K views in only 5 days, so congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah. And tell me, I mean, you obviously are self-taught, and you seem to do all of this yourself. You produce, write, sing, create.
Yeah. So like basically, I do the beats myself, with the help of some people like Z-Wall on that specific track, No Mercy. He we produced that song over Discord, which is pretty cool, like the Discord screen share function. And but yeah, for the most part, or for most of my career, it's been just me producing myself, learning how to do it, sketching the album cover, concept art, stuff like that. And a lot of it, like just with producing and learning how to record vocals and stuff, and learning how to rap in general, like all the process and everything, I kind of owe it all to YouTube tutorials, because that was pretty much how I figured it all out. It's like, if there's a problem, there's a whole database on the internet that I can just look up, and find the answers to what I'm looking for. If like I want to mix a song a certain way, or if I want to, make it sound as good as what people typically hear, when you're just starting out, there's always an answer on YouTube.
Yeah, that's what's fascinating to me as a former A&R guy. I was kind of looking on YouTube last week at some kid who did like 808 stuff, trying to show you how to do the slap part, and stuff. And he was going through Ableton so quickly, almost like a video game to your generation.
Yeah.
On how well learned you guys are on this. And it's just shocking to a guy my age to watch this.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's even shocking to people my age as well. Like sometimes if I have somebody over, or if I'm like with people and I'm producing, I go through it so fast, because I've just been doing it for years. Like I go through it so fast, and people are like, "I have no idea what you're doing," but you seem to have it all figured out.
Yeah, and on the newest record, Lonely Vibes, what prompted kind of the transition to kind of more of a what would I call it? I don't want to put anything in a category, but it's more traditionally sung, right? More of a
Yeah. So like Lonely Vibes is pretty much the music that I've always wanted to make. Like whenever I first started out making music, I didn't initially want to be like a rapper or anything like that. It just sort of like happened, and I found out that I was pretty solid at it. But Lonely Vibes was like that style of music was what I always wanted to make. From like more Post Maloney type stuff, like with the first half of the album, and then the second half being more so like the rock and all that. That was like the sort of stuff that I grew up listening to. It's like my own style fused in with the stuff that I grew up listening to. But yeah.
Yeah. What, I'm just curious, I'm just a curious guy, so just bear with my curiosity.
Yeah, go for it, dude.
So you have that record out, which is, I think, amazing. I mean, I think this record, I was just floored by it. And your transparency with your own kind of issues in life, whatever they may be, or just, you really kind of laid it all out in the lyrics. I mean, it's kind of like getting kicked in the stomach a couple times on my end.
Yeah. It's always like really bare in a way. It's like it's just very vulnerable, straight to the point lyrics.
Yeah, and you address, the loneliness and the isolation and kind of depression. I mean, which I think, maybe was more, what would I say, more to a generation when you were speaking to it. But I think with what we've all gone through the last 18 months, it was just, accessible to a guy like me in my 50s even.
Right.
And then to kind of like to put that out there and let that kind of sit out there, and then to do like No Mercy on top of that as a new single. How do you transition between that, or how does that work for you?
Well, with dropping No Mercy, which is like a clearly different vibe, everything has an intention. That's pretty much all I can say on it. That there's like more to come with that's going to connect everything. But yeah, I mean, like I'm the type of artist where I have, rapidly changing emotions, and my team can definitely attest to that. I have rapidly changing ideas and emotions, and like I don't just want to be stuck in one sound. Like I want to be making all the types of music that I want to make. Like if there's a certain genre I want to do, then I'll tackle it. Like the album before this one, You're Not Alone, there's a lot of like orchestral stuff on that, and like I composed all the strings myself and everything, and like just whenever there's a certain sound that I want to like attack, I pretty much figure out like how to do it. It's not really about like the impossibility for me. It's more so about like how do we get to the end product? Like how do we get to the final wherever it sounds good.
Right. And you mentioned You're Not Alone. And that song to me was like, I mean, really heavy on the record. And then Lost was kind of, to me, I don't know, gut-wrenching in its own way. Mm-hmm. And I'm just curious, I mean, do you write this stuff as more of a character thing, or did these events truly happen to you that you're writing about?
No, yeah, all that stuff on You're Not Alone, that was like, I viewed You're Not Alone as kind of like a selfish album, because like I sacrificed the like hits or like more pop stuff or whatever that could like be more like well liked and like well played or whatever. I sacrificed that stuff just to like tell my story a bit, just like break into who I am, what I've been through and stuff, because like the question, or like throughout my music before that, throughout my catalog, I was always like rapping and stuff about how I'm depressed and anxious and all that, but I never like told the story as to why I'm like depressed or why I've like what caused the trauma, so I wanted to make an album that just sort of went into that and explained it for people.
Right. And you kind of got into what I thought was interesting. I mean, you did some touring in 2019, right? And it kind of seemed like a lot of stuff happened to you during that tour, maybe?
Yeah, I would say
that
like
you're expressing in this.
Yeah. Like 2019 was simultaneously like the best and worst year of my life. Like I was able to like go to all these cities that I'd never been to before. After 2019, I had been to almost every single state, and it was just it was bad. It was a like probably the worst year for me because that that began just like pill abuse and stuff like that. The beginning of that year, I was prescribed Xanax, and I ended up just abusing it. That and Ativan as well, just throughout that entire year. And I was using that to sort of like cope on tour because I don't know, I'm more of an introverted person. I don't like going out and touring and stuff. And the tours ran amazingly because I was independent back then. I didn't have management or anything. So I was just like, I didn't want to be there. I was very depressed. I was very homesick, and it just sort of started this like whirlwind of alcohol abuse and abusing pills as well. But then whenever COVID happened, that was sort of like my own way to be like, well, the world shut down. This might be a good time to self-reflect and become a better person by the other side of it, by the end of it.
Right. And having that experience, I mean, do you think that affects going forward? I mean, touring for you? I mean, or is that, are you afraid it may replay, or do you feel like now at least you have the professional guidance around you that it wouldn't be as stressful? I'm
definitely not worried about it at all because, just on the journey that I've been through this past, from 2020 to now, I've been like so work hungry and driven. And I know for a fact that I never want to take pills again. I didn't go to rehab or anything. I just focused on myself and focused on sobriety. I had good people around me, people who cared about me. And then, also with getting a professional team around me with management and everything, that everybody's, it's been a great support system and everything. So yeah, I know for a fact that I would never like touch that stuff again or get into that again, regardless of how bad a tour may be. But I know for a fact that if I do tour again, it will definitely not be a problem. I'm like itching to get back on the road and stuff, but I'm being patient with it because of COVID and stuff. I don't know how people are touring right now. It just blows my mind.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. Well, I'm happy to hear you kind of found a community and were able to kind of bring some sobriety to yourself and some serenity. And at the same time, I mean, your accomplishments are incredible. I mean, you got 700 million plus streams from what I read. And on that tour, you're playing like cities like London and like in Europe. And I mean, it just must be fascinating for you to have such a reach now. Yeah.
It's definitely like wild in a way. And I'm also, that's another reason why I'm itching to get back out on the road is because since the world locked down, like my following is pretty much doubled. I think when tour got out, at the end of 2019, I was I had like half the amount of monthly listeners on Spotify, half the amount of subscribers on YouTube. So I'm definitely interested to see if the shows get bigger.
Oh, I'm sure they will. So no doubt that your trajectory is set. So talk to me. I mean, I'm really impressed with the sheer quantity of your ability to create music. I mean, from what I saw, there's like 16 albums worth of work.
Yeah.
You seem to have this incredible dedication to it and a work ethic and actually a little bit of a ritual around it. And I was impressed to see that in someone young, to have that drive and kind of ambition. Talk a little bit about your process around making music.
Yeah, I mean, just with the quantity thing, it's just how I am as an artist. I'm constantly creating. If I don't go through a day without creating something, I feel completely useless. I feel like music is the one thing I'm good at, and I'm working on other things that I'm good at, like other hobbies and stuff. Like I really want to break into film at some point, or at the very least, become like a writer in film. But aside from that, with music and stuff, I don't know. I mean, my creative process is basically, I'll wake up, start my day, and then I spend, a good 90% of my day working on music. That's just what I do. I go from, I'll sit and look around for cool samples, or I'll noodle on the guitar and see what I can come up with. Like, and on a typical day, like if I'm not in album mode, where I'm constantly fine tuning songs, like throughout a month or two, on a typical day where I'm just gathering ideas, it's sort of like I'll make like 3 or 4 demos a day, and I keep going until that's, maybe 20, maybe 30, maybe 40 tracks. And then from there I can dial it back and cut out all the fat in the project, and then I can walk away with album like Lonely Vibes or You're Not Alone.
Dang, I wish I had a artist that I signed when I was an A&R guy like you. So I was always having to force the quantity of songs out of them before we went into a studio to record. So
right, but
that's its own form of like psychological torture on an artist. So I don't want to really share that here. When you do your albums, I mean, a lot of them have parts 1 and 2. Are those recorded at the same time, or are they just kind of an add-on to the theme when you do that?
Well, I feel like every album sort of like each album is an evolution of my process in a way, because like we can go back from Disgrace, which I dropped in like 2019, right after I got off tour. With Disgrace, it was like I made that project on the road, and that was like a very like punk rock sort of attitude with making music. I made it very bare bones, and was just making stuff that like I could feasibly make with just a laptop and my microphone. And then with You're Not Alone, that was my first time ever like recording at a studio with Andrew Wade, who's insanely talented, and like working with him, he has all the resources and capabilities to wherever, like if I want to make a certain sound happen, he has all the answers to how to do it and make it sound good as well. So it's not like, I don't attempt to sound and it just sounds corny or something like that. But yeah, so You're Not Alone was my first foray into working at a studio, and I absolutely loved it, because I love the process of it almost makes it like you have like a day job, like you have a place to go, which is like the structure that I'm horrifically lacking in my life. But and then with Lonely Vibes, like that was me and Andrew just sort of being like, okay, so we got the selfish personal album out of the way with like one specific sound on it. Let's go at an album making it like exactly what I want to make, and that was just sort of like like full on experimentation with some of my stuff, because I have a lot of songs on that album wherever like I don't have a lot of similar songs like that on my discography, which was cool. It was like almost every single track was different, or at the very least, like each section of the album, like every 2 or 3 tracks it just has a very distinct and different sound. And yeah, and with making albums, it's just sort of like a I almost like to look at it like a it's almost like a war or like a battle or something like that. Like you start with a collection of ideas, which could be again like anywhere from 20 to 30 to 40 songs, just like a lot of songs and ideas. and then whenever you get in the studio, you just start pulling back, you just start fine tuning it or sculpting it like almost like a sculpture or something like that. It starts out as this big like Play-Doh blob, and then you start like peeling things away and crafting it.
Yeah, it's interesting to hear you talk about that because, with the decoupling, of music and kind of it becoming a singles world or track at a time dropping world, it's interesting to see you kind of put effort and emphasis, on actually recording full projects.
Yeah, I just love albums. Like I love the whole like packaging process and rollout process and all that stuff, and just creating like a world or like a unique vibe that people can just dive into and listen to all the way through or something like that. Like I also do enjoy doing like singles and stuff, but 90% of the time whenever I do singles, it's attached to an album just because like I really love creating something that's all part of a world or something like even with my side project called Little Revive, like that's a side project where I create like a whole character and world and stuff like that. Like I think I think the reason why I like that stuff and I like everything to have like a bigger purpose behind it and it not just be a single is like I was a big fan of like Star Wars as a kid and I really loved watching the I think it was called Empire of the Sun. It's like a documentary on George Lucas and how he created Star Wars and just created this whole like universe and stuff and I just like that type of stuff. I was a comic book nerd as a kid as well, like so I just like the bigger picture type of stuff, creating things that people can sort of escape to, just this like escapism.
That's awesome. And how do you like with your identity and stuff, like how do you tour? I mean, you seem to be kind of on the down low with kind of revealing yourself in anything, which gives you a lot of freedom, which is fantastic. But how does that work like when you're doing kind of live shows?
Yeah, I mean, so like pretty much the way I started out with doing music was that I did it where nobody knew anything about me or like what I looked like. And whenever I went on tour, after like a few years of having that career and that stuff, I just sort of like ripped the Band-Aid off right away. And I was, doing shows and everything, like just showing my face, showing my identity, showing who I am and stuff. And like, I'm not the biggest fan of like celebrity culture and celebrity status and stuff. I really don't like the idea of like what being on stage represents, which is kind of like you're literally standing above people. I don't like that at times, and I don't like the that feeling of like power that it gives you. You just feel like unstoppable, and it's almost like I don't really know how to describe it. Like that feeling that you get, it could either be used for good or it could just totally deteriorate a human, and that's been like that's been like my constant struggle with the whole thing and like not really wanting to show a lot about who I am, because I don't really want to I like at times I don't want that adoration or whatever, because it just doesn't feel healthy or like what a normal human should have on a daily basis. But as I've been working with my team and stuff, we've been trying to figure out how to like basically rewrite the formula, like how to do it my way and in a way that's just unique to everybody else. And we're still figuring it out. We're still fine tuning it. I think at the moment it like it's going to come down to like the that fear mask that I've had as like a brand for a few years now. I think that might be the specific look that I go for.
Right. And you, having said that, I saw a tweet you did about, industry shit being so overplayed and, about not wanting to be commodified and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Are there people out there? Is there a career out there that you see as kind of a model for you? Like someone who's been doing it for maybe a couple decades or not?
I don't know. I mean, I would say, yeah, I don't know. There'd probably be something like Slipknot. Like, like I really like how they do it. It's fantastic. Aside from Corey Taylor, who like he puts himself out there a lot more than the other bandmates, but I like that idea of it just being about the art and the music and stuff. It's less about who the person is. It's more so about like look at the world I've created. Look at the insane tour visuals. Look at all this stuff. More so than like who does Josh A date? What does he eat for breakfast?
Right. Social media.
Right.
Well, the EDM guys have kind of figured that out too, right? Because it's hard to put on a show without. They need that stuff. It's usually just them and a turntable in most cases. So, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. And the show is good. Performing's good. When you tour, do you try to put a band around you? Or last time, did you just kind of go out on your own with samples and a guitar? Or how did you do it?
Yeah, well, the last tour was kind of like it was real DIY. So the way how I'd want to do it in the future is just like I want to step it up a bit. I don't know what that's going to look like yet. But I would love to incorporate like live instrumentation into it. We're just trying to figure out what that is going to look like. And it's also like hard to gauge at the moment because of COVID and everything. Like I know that there's people like touring and stuff now, but I'm just a little hesitant with getting out there because I don't know. Like the US seems like kind of a like it's almost like a close your eyes and forget it exists type of mentality right now with people having festivals and shows.
Yeah, it is. And I think it's I was speaking to a friend of mine in a large stadium touring band, and they were kind of in the area, and he said, you can come and watch the show, but he says, we're all in a bubble. Like you can't come backstage and meet us or see us. And I'm thinking even for artists, it's got to be kind of boring because they can't see their friends on the road. It's weird. Yeah.
Or even the like fans and stuff like that, because yes. I almost feel like stage diving, it doesn't exist anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's like that. And also like the thing that would kill me a bit is like the meet and greet stuff with not being able to like actually hug a fan or something like that. Like that definitely sucks because there's people who have wanted to meet you forever, and this is that's like their one moment, and then it's behind a plated glass.
Yeah, fortunately, you've got a long career ahead of you, so you'll be fine.
Right.
Some of the older artists are a little bit more scared that this is their last kind of round of doing this, and the way they're doing it, they don't really like it. So,
yeah.
How do you identify collaborators and stuff? I mean, is this a whole online thing, or you have respect for people and reach out, or how do you decide who's going to maybe sing on a track, or what's that process for you?
Yeah, I mean, it started out like whenever I was first getting into music and stuff, I wanted to work with everybody. I was inspired by everybody. I had immense respect for a lot of people, and then as things got bigger, I started to understand the industry, and I don't know. I feel like the way how I see it is like if I really love an artist and I want to work with them, I'll like reach out to them, but like for the most part, I don't really like reaching out to other artists because there's always this like veil of like ego in the way that like prevents things from happening and all that. Like I'm not a fan of placating to someone's ego to get them on a track. Like it like the way I see it is like, if somebody reaches out to me and I like what they do, I'll work with them, and the same goes like if there's somebody that I'm like dying to work with, I'll reach out to them and then see if it's possible. And if it's not, or if there's like a lot of obstacles in the way, I'm just gonna say screw it, and I'll record a second verse.
Right. And do you? I mean, is there any collaboration in the songwriting with you, or is it just all you, and then collaborators are brought in just for recording occasionally?
Yeah, typically the songwriting process, it's like mostly me, or like I'll create the beat or whatever, and then I'll record vocals over it, and I'll have everything set up, and then I'll leave a blank space for them to fill in the blank.
Awesome, that's great. So, and you produce everything yourself, pretty much, yes?
Yep. Yeah. I produce everything myself. I have a really great collaborator though that I want to mention. He goes by Southern Beats, and I found him on YouTube. Surprisingly, I was looking through tight beats on YouTube, and it ended up, one of the tight beats I found was my song Painless, which is like kind of a it's doing pretty solid. It's at like 8 million streams now, and he's somebody that I'm gonna continue working with and stuff, and he's a great artist. Like, I'll just send him vocals or whatever that I record to like a different beat, and then I send him vocals, and he just whips up like an insane guitar melody or something like that off of just like hearing what I'm saying, which is really cool.
It's like Elton John and Bernie Taupin.
Right. Right.
That's how they write, never in the same room, and that's how it works.
Yeah, I think Southern Beats is I think he's in a completely different country. Like
oh wow.
Yeah, and that's like how a lot of the stuff is as well, and like why I think with COVID, like it didn't it wasn't a giant like detriment to my career and stuff, because I had always been creating this way, like creating virtually with people. So it was just sort of like it was the environment that I was already comfortable with. So like nothing really changed for me.
Cool. Well, I want to ask you about your early influences. Like, I've read something that Metallica is a bit of an influence. Who are some of the other people, like, I don't care, musicians, or you mentioned Star Wars, that's film.
Yeah.
Where do you draw inspiration?
Well, the reason like why I started making music in the first place. Well, actually, I'll go back to like the first time like making any kind of music or just picking up an instrument. It was Nirvana and Slipknot were the ones that like got me to pick up a guitar and learn how to play and stuff. And then from there, as I like started to figure out what I wanted to do with like creating music professionally and stuff, I started out doing electronic music, and that was like from like seeing Skrillex like doing these crazy live shows and stuff back in like 2011 2012 and all that, and I like knew how to create EDM just from like watching a bunch of YouTube tutorials and stuff, and like I built up an audience decently that way. And then as I started to like broaden my listening horizons and like the type of stuff that I would listen to, it started to be Childish Gambino, Tyler the Creator and stuff, and like those two specifically like really inspired me to start rapping. And I like my first songs of me rapping, and they're sadly available on my Spotify catalog. They're like absolutely horrible, but over the years, like I learned more and more about like inflections and stuff like that, and how to do it. But I would definitely say Metallica is still like up there in terms of like who like I really love their like Ride the Lightning album and most of like their early 80s era of like, I think it was from like 82 to 86. Like that run was just so great artistically. I mentioned it in that Spin article, but like listening to their demo tapes, it feels like so similar to how I make music, because I always start with a really shitty idea, and then and like I listen to that for like weeks at a time, and until I decide to like tackle the idea and make it sound good. And it's just cool to see like that because back then when they were creating that stuff, that they were around the same age that I am. So like it was like an inspiring thing to see like okay, so the way of making a shitty demo and then turning it into a good song is like a tried and true method throughout decades. It spans decades. Like people have always done that, and I like that a lot. It's like a nice reassurance.
It is the truth. And I like that Spin piece. I was all excited because there was video, and then I realized you're at the board and have your back to us the whole time.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, he's stumped me again.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like what Spin wanted was like a day in the life type thing. And it like perplexed me for like a month because like they had reached out, farther back than when the article came out. And it was like definitely perplexing, because I was just like how do am I supposed to ham it up because like this is all I do throughout the day. and then I was like, you know what, screw it. Like if they want to know what my day in the life is like, here's the prime example of what a day in my life is like, which is like just sitting working on music constantly, and you can also see in the time lapse, which me and Andrew thought was funny, was that like it's a sped up time lapse of like 6 hours, but like
that was brilliant.
Yeah, but we also barely move. So like you just see like maybe I get up from my chair to like leave the room to like vape or something like that, or like or like our heads just slightly move.
That was awesome. So do you journal, or do you believe in manifesting things? I mean, what's your kind of game around that personally, and keeping yourself motivated and on the right path? And maybe lyrically you do it.
Yeah, I 100% believe in the whole manifesting thing. And it's like I feel like humans, like, to get what we want, we really need visual aids. Like we need to see, that idea or whatever. We need to see some type of visual representation of it in front of us. And for me, what it was like, and I've been doing this since like I was in 9th grade or so. Like I would sit in class, and I would have like my notebook, and I'd be writing exactly what I wanted. And at that time, it was like I want 5,000 subscribers on YouTube or something like that. It was always like I want it. I want this specific goal by this specific date, and if it doesn't happen, then I'm a loser. It was like that sort of line of thinking. And the way how I do it now is like it's real like OCD obsessive ways of like writing it down. Like I'll write down the same thing, the same exact goal. I'll write it down multiple times throughout like the course of 2 months or something like that. I'll be writing it down every single day, because like I don't know. And doing that method of writing it out, or also like there's a specific like thing or whatever that or like a specific like I don't want to like I don't want to say like number goal, but just more so like anything in life. It's kind of like if you literally try to like draw that scene out of what you want, then you can actually like see it, and seeing it is kind of like the big thing. Like once you see that it's actually obtainable, then you're kind of unstoppable. And I think like with people who like don't know what they want in life or whatever, because like I talk to a lot of people about this, how people like are like envious of the fact that I was able to figure out what I want so young, because a lot of people don't figure out what they want until they're like 30, 40, or maybe even 50, and pretty much the thing with it is that I like, I would definitely say getting the idea is the hardest part of all of it, because like if you, once you find out the thing you want in life, from there it's all easy. It's all figuring out how to get it, and it doesn't matter, again, it doesn't matter what the journey is for how you get it. It's all about getting to that end result, and it's sort of like a solid character building, life lesson gaining journey and until you get to that thing you want. But the hardest part, I feel like, is actually figuring out what you want.
Right. I agree with you, because then you can use kind of this inversion theory, right, to kind of back it all out and how to get there.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. And on your videos, you kind of do just, I notice there's no really produced videos. Is that because that's something you want to learn yourself, that you've not done that with some of your songs?
Yeah,
most are just the artwork.
I definitely want to do music videos. The hardest thing with that is like getting the perfect idea for it, because like I don't want to do music videos and waste the time and resources if like I don't know exactly what I want yet. And like I know for a fact that whenever I do drop a music video, it's going to be like really well polished, really well done, very cinematic, and it's going to like tell a wild story, or it'll just look very visually appealing. Because like I don't know, I don't want to do music videos right now just because I'm a giant film fan and stuff, and I just feel like it would be a disservice to not have some really amazing visuals, and it's mostly about like if I'm gonna drop a lot of money on a music video, it's got to be a damn good idea.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. So
yeah. And
look, I mean, with your output as an artist, I just think your bandwidth must be just tested. I mean, between, I notice you're smart enough not to get, kind of down that funnel of social media that much, which is great.
Yeah.
But I mean, creatively, you're just, the work you're putting into your music, I don't know how you'd have the bandwidth to do much more. So
yeah, the hard part with it is like, I would have to like take a mild break from music for like a month or two to get the video done, and that's always a hard thing for me is like not creating music, because that's just what I always do, so it's like trying to find that perfect balance wherever I can like get an album knocked out pretty much, and then take a few months off to try to make a few music videos that are like really well done.
Yeah. Well, talk to me a little bit about like some of your future ambitions. I mean, you have mentioned film a couple of times here. Are there things out? I mean, I know you have a clothing line a bit now. I mean, what are your future ambitions for Josh A?
Well, the number one thing I would love to do that like I have no idea how to get in the door to have conversations with people on is I would love to like score movies and stuff, and a lot of people don't like. Or at least I feel like a lot of people don't know that I like produce a lot of my stuff, and like I have capabilities as a producer beyond just rap or beyond just like the style of music that I create. Like I love putting together orchestral stuff and like experimenting with that like lane, like trying to make cinematic music, and a lot of times I'll find myself like as I'm creating music or even just making like cinematic music just for fun on the side, like I'll be pulling up scenes from films and sort of scoring them as I go. And like I definitely that's like the number one thing I would want to do like before I die is score movies. And then from there it would also be creating films or at the very least writing films and stuff like every few months I'll be taking away like ideas for movies or like a book or something like that, or a graphic novel. I want to find ways to express myself outside the medium of music, just for my own sanity a little bit, just because I just want to find what else I'm good at, and I know for a fact that like I have more to offer outside of music as well.
Right. Well, Trent Reznor will be a good role model for you.
Oh, dude, he's like my god. Like I love Trent Reznor so much. Him and Atticus Ross, they're amazing.
Yep. I mean, do you feel like with music, it's become like more of an obsession? So you almost need to like at some point, so it doesn't become, what would the word be? Not overwhelming, but how would I explain it? I'm just saying, is it replacing, maybe an addiction for another, and it becomes that where you kind of go down a rabbit hole with music?
Right. I mean, I would definitely say that if it isn't a addiction, music is probably the healthiest addiction one can have, for sure.
There you go.
Because like at the very least, it's a creative addiction. Like you're creating and putting stuff out into the world and possibly, changing people's lives in the process, which is like, if I'm addicted to that, then I'll happily be addicted to that way better than pills or anything self-destructive, for sure.
Fantastic. So one last question, and it's only a fun one, and you don't even have to answer it if you don't want. Since you're a Nirvana fan, I was going to ask, Dave Grohl, Tool or legend?
I would say he's an absolute legend because like you have to look at his like whole trajectory throughout his life. He hit it big with Nirvana, and after it disbanded because of Kurt Cobain's untimely death and everything. Like he could have just called it a day there. He could have just like quit, and a lot of people probably wouldn't have expected him to just pull himself right back up and create a second legendary band. Like I think that's like insane. I think it's totally admirable. Like he's an absolute legend. He could have just like quit in that moment and just ate off of those Nirvana royalty checks, but for the rest of his life. But he had something else in him. He had more to offer to the world, and he made sure that they heard it.
Fantastic answer. So thank you for your time. I guarantee that I think you're on the road to be a legend. So that would be my answer.
I hope so, man.
I have good instincts about this stuff. And the record is Lonely Vibes. And I recommend everyone listen to this record. It's really a masterwork. Congratulations.
Well, thank you, man. I appreciate the kind words.
Yes, and stay healthy, and keep your touring plans out until this all gets figured out. So
yeah, I agree.
Thanks, Josh.
All right, thank you, man.
Thank you for listening. This show originates from the podcast capital, Austin, Texas. My producer is Sean O'Neill.